Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it sugar pants. Hidely-ho, my horror honchos, your bestest basement bro, back again with some more monstrous merriment. This go-around, we're taking on 1986's Terrorvision. An alien allegory about a greasy gastric gob transmitted via satellite dish and the wacky adult sitcom family it dines upon. So let's beam it on down to Abraxas and find out what that sleaze docket is serving up.
We have 12 dead bodies, 0 cups blood, 2 cups blue alien blood, 20 cups slime, 4 cups monster snot, 0 naked breasts, crappy miniatures, repurposed toy enterprise, Tom Peepery, actual porn, catchy opening credits tune, 1 wasp t-shirt, partial wasp music video, 1 wad of C4, 1 16th note video wipe, 1 personalized TV jump scare, gratuitous sexy art, gratuitous 50s sci-fi, gratuitous car vanity plates, gratuitous sexy time groomery, gratuitous budgie smugglers, wacky militant grandpa cliche, ominous thunder cliche, nobody believes the kid cliche, Flight of the Valkyries cliche, Toccata and Fugue in D minor cliche, obvious Elvira knockoff, obvious Cyndi Lauper knockoff, 1 face chompin', 1 pool chompin', 1 exploding head, 1 slime dissolved hand, 1 knifed tentacle, 1 alien head clamp liquefaction death, 1 alien stomach clamp liquefaction death, pool electrocution, inhaled and eaten ×3, and alien monster sneeze to the face.
Our movie begins on the planet Pluton, specifically the sanitation department in charge of mutant creature disposal, and where that Enterprise toy you lost as a child ended up. A wall of flesh, eyes, and teeth grumbles from behind glass before the lizard person throws the switch, vaporizing the beast and sending it on a pinball collision course across the galaxy. Cut to the opening credits, complete with rockin' original theme song that'll definitely get stuck in your head for weeks. We cut to Stanley Putterman puttering around in the backyard with his monster do-it-yourself satellite dish while Norton, the dish tech, stands around drinking beer. He bangs it with a hammer for a bit when suddenly, and without warning, there was this... Total eclipse of the sun. Well, not exactly. The vaporized meat monster from the intro just happens to crash right into the dish. But nobody pays much attention to it because suddenly there's Mexican wrestling to watch. We go inside and take a quick look at all the brand new channels we have access to and accidentally land on what I assume to be actual porn.
Channel 69.
Grandpa fights over the remote and suddenly multicolored lightning and wind starts blasting from the TV. And nobody thinks anything of it because it's time for Medusa's Midnight Horror-thon.
Hello, bloodsuckers. Ready to be turned to stone.
Will you look at those hooters?
Now, where would they get such a ridiculous idea for a TV host?
Could you believe that cheesy-looking monster looked like Gumby on steroids?
And if there wasn't enough wacky characters in this cast, we meet Susie's boyfriend, Odie.
This is Odie. I can tell you're thrilled.
No, not Odie. Letter O, letter D, O-D.
Mom, can we use the jacuzzi tonight?
Not tonight, baby. Your father and I might be swinging.
Okay, well, that's not at all disturbing and twisted information for the kids to be privy to. Anyway, once Mom, Dad, Susie, and OD take off, Grandpa and Sherman settle in for a night on the couch, checking out all the new channels. Grandpa fumbles with the controls until he ends on what they assume to be a really boring movie.
Well, do something, you ugly bastard!
Man, this is the dumbest movie I ever saw.
Really? Have you seen Legends of the Fall? But the TV keeps cutting to Medusa, so they never catch on to the actual danger.
We're gonna open up the coal lines and see what you perverts are up to. And Medusa wants to hear some real kinky nightmares.
Extreme close-up!
Eventually, the two fall asleep, and the nasty beastie manages to pass through the screen and start snooping around. Sherman's convinced it was a monster, but Grandpa thinks it was just a burglar wearing a mask. They duck into Grandpa's bunker and load up on weapons. Now, about that time, Norton passes back by to double-check on the system, and he lets himself into the backyard, only to get held up at gunpoint. Jeez. Glad the Puttermans live in California and not Texas. This scene could have gone a lot worse. Grandpa and Sherman head back inside to do a sweep of the house, and Norton finds some gross stuff in the satellite's wiring. Eventually, he gets the feeling something's sneaking up behind him, and... Not satisfied with just Norton, the beastie appears behind Grandpa, clamps his head with its claw, liquefies him, and slurps up the mess before zapping back inside the TV while Sherman watches the whole horrid thing. He calls the cops, but they assume he's just making a prank phone call, and they threaten to arrest him if he bothers them again. Just then, Mom and Dad make it home with a couple of... friends. Sherman tries to explain what happened to Grandpa, but Mom's not about to let the little buzzkill ruin her evening. She drags him to Grandpa's shelter, where the monster has just teleported in. Turns out the monster can replicate anyone it eats.
Dad?
Hold your god-dang horses! I'm changing in here!
By this point, Mom's had enough of her son's cock-blockery, shoves him into the shelter, and chains the freaking door shut. Fortunately for Sherman, the beastie appears to have moved on to somewhere else in the house. Back in the pool room, Stanley's showing off how everything's wired up. Sound system, jacuzzi. Eventually, he turns on the TV just in time to hear a warning from the Alien Sanitation Department.
Destroy your satellite receivers. Dismantle
Great
your
sound,
communication systems. Render your television sets inoperable for the next 200 Earth years.
Anyway, skipping ahead a bit, the monster ends up eating Mom and Dad, as well as the two swinging partners. Sherman blows open the bunker door just as Susie and OD come back home, and he tries to convince them there's something killing everyone. Susie goes to check on the folks, and the monster replicates all of his victims at the same time, so we can get this wacky little scene.
Hi, kids. Cherry, Sparrow, these are the kids.
Hi. Have any of you seen Gramps?
Right here, honeybee. Just taking care of business.
Gramps, that is totally sicko.
Eventually, the monster appears in front of all the kids and goes in for the kill. But there's something about OD's leather that reminds the beastie of, happier times? So naturally, the kids go the E.T. route and try to domesticate the slimy thing. They feed it, teach it about music, try to get it to say their names, and even show it TV. That's when they all get the great idea. Let's make lots of money. The kids all believe if they get the monster on TV, they'll make millions. So they call the one person they know who has connections, Medusa. Naturally, she doesn't believe them, but Susie entices her by saying they're having a big party and she should stop by the house. The monster starts demanding more TV, and OD switches the channel over to the alien warning, which is playing on an endless loop. The monster takes one look and immediately loses its shit. The doorbell rings and Susie runs to see if it's Medusa, but instead it's the cops. For Sherman's arrest? OD gives the monster a frustrated slap and gets a mouth tentacle chomp to the face. Sherman runs off but chucks a hand grenade as he flees. The cop comes face to face with the beast and gets his hand partially dissolved, then is eaten off camera. Back in the bunker, Sherman loads up on firepower and begins smashing every TV in the house. Without its ability to transport around freely, the monster ends up in the pool watching crappy alien movies on the only TV left unbroken. Sherman sees the wired remote to the room and gets the idea of electrocuting the monster. Unfortunately, he slips in some really easily avoidable slime, and the monster grabs him. Sherman hacks the tentacle apart just as Susie chucks the remote into the pool. The living room TV starts blasting Technicolor lightning, but instead of the monster, it's the sanitation tech from the other planet. Pluthar here explains that the monster is actually a house pet that's prone to wild mutations, and when that happens, they have to dispose of it by converting it into pure energy and beaming it to the far corners of the universe. He even says if they can take the beastie alive, there's a process of extracting the victim's genetic material to replicate them back to life.
Clones of Mommy and Daddy?
No, they'd be the real Mommy and Daddy. Of course, they'd have to live in special aquariums.
And if the driveway didn't have enough goddamn vehicles, Medusa decides to finally show up and let herself in. She walks into the living room and sees the alien, and wrongfully assumes the kids need rescued. She clocks Pluthar across the helmet, cracking it, causing his head to explode due to rapid depressurization. Just then the monster bursts through the wall and starts sucking up a windstorm. Sherman tries to blast it with the alien's gun, but can't get a clear shot. The three try to get away, but we see Sherman flying towards the monster's gaping maw, and we cut to black. Out in the driveway, Medusa's assistant is asleep at the wheel when...
Studio Al and make it snappy. Come on.
And we roll the credits. Terrorvision is an interesting movie. It feels a lot more like an 80s sitcom without the laugh track than it does a feature film. But the studio audience definitely wouldn't seem out of place here. Hell, even the satellite repairman is named Norton and keeps popping over for some wacky hijinks. It's slimy and gross at times, but not something I'd consider overly violent. Oh sure, Grandpa gets liquefied and slurped up, leaving a slimy puddle and dog tags. But even at its most gruesome, it's just too silly and light to ever truly feel like a horror movie. It's got an R rating, but it feels like it just barely crosses the line from PG-13. Hell, if it wasn't for the oversexed parents and their mansion full of bizarre erotic art, I'd say this movie would fit right alongside The Monster Squad and The Gate as introductory movies to get the youngins interested in horror. But none of that should be taken as a criticism. I enjoy this one for a lot of reasons. It's very satirical, taking potshots at a lot of 80s stuff. The leftover 70s swinger mentality, pop culture, both bubblegum and metal, latchkey kids expected to take care of themselves in a world full of really dangerous shit and the parents who are oblivious to it all, over-reliance on television as a centerpiece for the family, and the very 80s mentality of greed is good, since the kids immediately toss out the idea of having the monster as a friend once they think of how to exploit it for riches. On a personal note, I didn't see this one until well into my adult years, but I still find it pretty amazing how well it scratches an awful lot of childhood nostalgia for me since I grew up in the 80s. The excitement of getting brand new access to TV channels you never had before, staying up late to watch the garbage they'd never show during the daylight programming hours, cheesy late-night hosts doling out said garbage, absentee parents who didn't believe anything you said because they were busy with their own gross obsessions. Oh, wait, let's not get too real here. I do wish it was a little more trashy. A little more gore, a little more skin, and this one would be pretty dang close to perfect for me. But I'm still gonna give it my ringing endorsement. Even without the excess that I wanted, Terrorvision is a fun dang time. Even after repeat watches, I still find stupid enjoyment in it. So with that slimy cinematic cesspool slopped, it's time to say see you real soon, kiddos, and oh, the heck with it. I'm just gonna let Medusa take it from here.
Till next week, Medusa hopes you have some real wet nightmares.
We got a plumbus. That's 6.5 rapples.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ! It hurts! And Spirit, save me! Take me to the light! Oh my God, I see demons!
Peanut butter and jelly. Vanilla. Chocolate. And every flavor.
Stanley! This is grungy!